Back with us once again, having a look at the French newspapers. Of course, it continues to be, well, rather special editions of your newspaper reviews at the moment in the wake of the Charlie Hebdo attacks. Also, the arrest of the controversial French comedian Dieudonné.
That's right. Now, this has, of course, sparked a huge debate about freedom of speech. It's pretty complicated. I'm going to try to walk you through the various opinions that are flying around. Let's take a look, first of all, at L'Humanité, which is the communist paper. On their front page, they have a photo of the Declaration of the Rights of Man and the Citizen from 1789, and they have this headline: "Freedom of speech is evidently still a new idea that people have a hard time understanding." So, at the heart of this debate is, of course, the attack on Charlie Hebdo. This was seen as a blatant attack on freedom of speech. But then, of course, there's the arrest of Dieudonné. You might remember him. We talked a lot about him exactly a year ago because one of his stand-up shows was banned because it was deemed anti-Semitic. Now, he's back in the spotlight for comments he made on Facebook in the wake of the Charlie attack. What he said was, "Je suis Charlie Koulibaly." So it combines the "Je suis Charlie" slogan, that slogan of support for the Charlie victims, but then it also talks about Koulibaly. A lot of people are saying this is a kind of a twisted message of support for Amédi Koulibaly. That's the gunman that held those people hostage in the kosher market. Now, he was arrested over these comments, and because it was, well, authorities say that he was apologizing for terrorism. Now, his detention, though, immediately drew claims of a double standard from a lot of people in France. It's important to note, though, that his arrest is one of many. There have been about 84 cases opened by authorities to crack down on condoning terrorism.
Yeah, it is a very complicated story, isn't it? But lots of papers taking a bit of a closer look at just what the law does say on freedom of expression.
That's right, because a lot of people don't know what the law says. I mean, I must admit, I actually learned some things today. Libération talks about freedom of expression, warning this is a very fragile thing. Now, many people, as you said, are trying to explain what the law says before people get carried away. Now, freedom of speech is not 100% absolute here in France. It's actually limited by the French law. Basically, it doesn't extend to an incitement of hatred or to racism, anti-Semitism, or homophobia against individuals.
That's what's very important, isn't it? It's that real detail.
That's right, the individual part. That's really key to understanding this difference. And in fact, Libération explains it quite well to one of their readers. You can see here they write a letter. Cher D, dear D. D's question was, why is Dieudonné arrested and yet Charlie Hebdo can make fun of Islam? Well, Libération says that freedom of speech is limited when it's aimed at flesh and bone individuals, but not when it's aimed at dogma or symbols. No law bans speech aimed at symbols in France, and that's why blasphemy is not a criminal offense here in France. Now, Libération says that in France, it's illegal to mock Jews, Muslims, Christians because they're Jewish, Muslim, or Christian, but it's totally legal to make fun of God or the prophet or any kind of symbol, religious symbol. That being said, Libération in its editorial says it's really a delicate balance. It's important to find some sort of a balance between freedom of speech and respecting the various beliefs of different religions. This is a delicate balance that constantly needs adjusting.
It is a very thorny debate, isn't it? One that's been discussed certainly by my children and lots of others in French schools as well.
Absolutely. Several public schools here in France have really been rocked by a fierce debate in the wake of the Charlie Hebdo attack. You can see Aujourd'hui en France here today is very alarmed. It talks about the risk of a fracture in French society, and several other papers are reporting on this wave of incidents. You can read about it in La Croix as well. Basically, in the wake of the Charlie Hebdo attacks, you saw some students not wanting to take part in a minute of silence, saying provocative things, perhaps supporting the shooters or disrupting debates, starting fights with other students. And Le Parisien actually reports on teachers. Teachers have sounded the alarm, saying they don't really know how to deal with this kind of growing tension. They don't know how to organize a real debate without falling into hate speech. But there's a very interesting article by Gilles Kepel. He's an Islam specialist, actually, and he says this is exactly what Islamic fundamentalists want to do. They want to exploit the cracks that they've identified in French society, whether they're cultural or religious cracks, and basically plant little battlefields everywhere, even in schools, to tear apart French society. So it's a pretty alarming article, but he does have hope. He says that France is threatened, but it's not fragile. And he says that he finds hope in that massive demonstration that took place on Sunday. He says that there's proof that there is still glue that holds society together, and we can find a way to fix these gaps.
Fascinating press review. Flo, thank you very much. Flo, continuing, of course, to react to those Charlie Hebdo attacks and the publication of the latest edition of Charlie Hebdo.